It is indeed with a very warm heart that we welcome you to today's episode of Tax Matters. I am Olumuyiwa Matuloko. Please permit us to begin by congratulating President Goodluck Jonathan and all those among the state governors who came into office on May 29, 2011 on the occasion of their 100 days in office. We appreciate what you are doing and we enjoin you to do much more because good governance will encourage taxpayers to pay what is due. Viewers of this program will recall that a few episodes ago, we brought you the story of the regional enlarged management meeting of the Eastern Regional Command of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, which was held in Abakaliki, Ebonyi State on Thursday, July 28, 2011. The following episode, we followed up with the story of the Stakeholder Summit that was held the following day, talking about Friday, July 29, 2011. Now, you see why we always tell you the stories of the stakeholder summits from time to time. It is because it affords the taxpayer, you and I, the opportunity to have our say. Everyone cannot be in attendance at those stakeholder summits. And so, if we cannot bring you blow-by-blow account, at least you deserve excepts. So, today is your episode. We want to hear from those who wear the shoes, the taxpayers. But before then, what really makes up the Eastern Regional Command of the Federal Inland Revenue Service?
My name is Igwe Peter. I'm the Regional Coordinator for Southeast. Yeah.
Southeast of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, yes. What states do you cover?
We cover Anambra, Imo, Abia, Enugu, and Ebonyi states. Yeah.
We've just had this successful regional enlargement meeting which you have brought to Abakaliki. We also note that the theme of the enlargement meeting is bridging the compliance gap, the role of taxpayer services. Now, what would you say on a percentage basis is the compliance level of taxpayers in your zone?
Okay, without over-exaggerating, I should feel that the compliance level in the East should be about 60-65. Because I'm still convinced that there are still more ground to be covered. Yeah.
Now, in improving on that, what are you doing in the area of assisting taxpayers so that they can find it easier to voluntarily comply?
What we are doing and we intend to intensify is to increase the tempo of taxpayer education, which is key. Because a taxpayer must know why he should pay tax, how he should pay it, and what tax is meant for. Okay. Once he knows, and he should also be aware of the penalty for non-compliance. So with all this at the back of the mind of the taxpayer, I'm sure he would voluntarily comply.
Okay. We understand that in every tax office now you have a taxpayer services unit. Yeah. If I come to that unit, what do I expect to see or get?
No, actually what you expect to get is you will expect to see staff. We call them front desk staff that will be able to tell you, attend to you, solve your problem, and even educate you on what you don't even know with regard to tax. Yeah.
We looked at the records, and in 2008, you collected about more than 11 billion. In 2009, it came down to 10 billion. 2010 went back to 11.3 billion. And this year, 2011, January to June, you have already made 7.5 billion in tax collections. Does that give you any hope that you would overshoot the 11 billion threshold of the past?
No, I am very, very convinced that with the pace we are going and with the level of education we are carrying on, we will be able to surpass that. We are going to hit 15-16 billion.
I also want to know from you what is the relationship of the Federal Inland Revenue Service under your command with those states that you mentioned has been under your command. Because we're saying this because the ministries, departments and agencies and the local governments are supposed to be deducting VAT and withholding tax at source from payments due to contractors. How is your relationship now?
Actually, our relationship has been very, very cordial. We have no problem with them, and moreover, they are our partners in progress. We can't do without them. We depend on them, and they also depend on us. So there is this symbiotic relationship, and with that, we'll be able to move forward. Like you heard, the Ebonyi State has liquidated its liability, Anambra State, Enugu State. So it's only in Abia State that we are still having some problems here and there. Yeah.
Let us remind you that the operations of the Federal Inland Revenue Service are spread into 8 regions across Nigeria. We want to say kudos to the 5 eastern states for living up to their tax obligations. Now to the story of the Stakeholder Summit held in Abakaliki, Ebonyi State. Taxpayers, this is your story.
Another area I want to make my comment is on VAT collection. Most Nigerians are contractors, or they supply one thing or the other. And most of them work for the government. I'm talking my own clients, they work for the government, whether state, local government, or federal. And while they were bidding, they included VAT in the contract sum. And so they have already known that money does not belong to them. And it's collected as source. But it's unfortunate that when this money are collected from them, that runs into millions, along with withholding tax. What is normally issued to them is receipt for withholding tax. VAT is not issued to them. And when we prepare the account and come to the land revenue to make the annual returns, the land revenue will insist on presentation of VAT receipts before issuing tax clearance, even though withholding tax has been seen. And continue to explain, this is the government. They must collect that 5% VAT, 5% withholding tax. They will tell you produce receipts. Even when a schedule is brought from the client to show as evidence that this thing was collected, it's the insistence on presentation of receipt is also there. And I want to say to the authority, please, we will want to have a clarification on this matter.
Elder Matthew Onyemoro also has something to say on the earnings of the average taxpayer for the dividends of the taxes that he pays.
I want to say that one of the problems that we are having, let me talk about the states, is the area of inability of government to apply the money that they get from individuals as tax payment to render services that is valuable to the citizenry. You know, Nigerians, they are not demanding so much. Once you can provide water, good roads to Nigerians, give them light, I think they're satisfied. They can go on their business because they're industrial people.
I am representing the Accountant General of Anambra State, and I'm speaking from a different background. As the man on the ground who is charged with the collection of these taxes, we are having a lot of challenges. We have a lot of problems associated with it. And we want you to help us address some of these issues. One, capacity building. We have to train some of our staff to be conversant with the laws and regulations guiding this tax collection so that we'll be able to serve you better. Secondly, some of the working materials like circulars, leaflets, booklets that deals with this tax administration, we want you to make them available to us in sizable numbers so that we can reach out to all the accounting officers in the state who are meant to implement these laws for you. I think when we do these things, you have the level of compliance and the bridging of the gap will be taken care of. And there is one area I want to appeal to you. We have been having a running battle with our men in the field. The issue of taxi mobilization fees paid to contractors. We want you to look at it because at the end of the time, when subsequent certificates were generated, the element of tax on those mobilizations are now transferred to those new certificates when they are generated, that you see that at the point when that contract is completed, all the taxes must have been paid. But most of the time they insist that we tax that mobilization, and when we tax the mobilization, you see that the contractors is left with little or nothing to embark on that project. We have been appealing to them, and we want to emphasize here that you have to help us, knowing fully well that at the end of the day, what is supposed to be paid as tax on that contract is actually paid at the end of the completion. So with this, I think we serve you better.
In response, Mr. CP Igwe, Regional Coordinator of the Eastern Regional Command of the FRS, and Mr. SS Ogumbeson, Coordinating Director, Tax Operation Group at the headquarters in Abuja, had this to say.
Every contract has a life cycle. But we discovered that even after the contract has been fully paid, the element that was included in mobilization was not paid. We have so many contracts that were not paid. Even after the life cycle has passed, they were not paid and they are still there. Let us not talk about mobilization. Nobody is taxing mobilization. What we are saying that after mobilization, the subsequent payments, you did not deduct the relevant taxes. Thank you very much.
If we take 5% withholding taxes on mobilization, it is because the law says every payment must be subjected to withholding taxes. But by the time a particular stage of work completed is certified and you are accounting for tax on it, make adjustment of what had been suffered on mobilization. After all, the component of job certified is part of the mobilization that has been paid. Just make sure you have your documents to support it. I mean, we don't want to take one kobo above what is due to be paid by the taxpayer. That's very, very important.